Most people look at a wealthy man and see the wrong things. They see the tailored suit, the high-rise apartment, the luxury vehicle, or the compound interest accumulation. They see the external fruits of wealth, completely blind to the internal roots that grew them. If you strip away the money, what is left? To the untrained eye, a man stripped of his fortune is ruined. But to the Stoic, true wealth is an internal state of armor. It is a specific operating system of the mind. The preferred indifferent. Ancient Stoic philosophers like Seneca were incredibly wealthy. Seneca was an advisor to the Roman Emperor Nero and one of the richest men in the empire. Yet he wrote extensively on why wealth means absolutely nothing to your soul. Stoicism classifies wealth as a preferred indifferent. Preferred, it is objectively better, safer, and more comfortable to have money than to be broke. It provides options, healthcare, and security. Indifferent, it has zero bearing on your moral character, your virtue, or your fundamental happiness. You can be a wealthy monster or a bankrupt saint. The wealthy man inside this blueprint does not lean on his money for support. He treats wealth like a guest in his house, welcomed if it stays, but allowed to leave without heartbreak. He knows that his bank account is a temporary loan from fate. Part 2. The dichotomy of wealth. The internal line, the foundational rule of Stoicism, pioneered by Epictetus, is the dichotomy of control. You must ruthlessly divide the world into two columns. 1. Things you can control. 2. Things you cannot control. The average person spends 90% of their mental energy agonizing over column B. They stress about inflation, market corrections, company layoffs, and what others think of them. The wealthy man operates entirely within column A. He controls his output. He controls his savings rate. He controls his emotional stability when a deal collapses. The shield against anxiety, because his mind is locked into what he can control. Market volatility does not alter his heart rate. When the economy panics, he looks at the data, adjusts his strategy, and goes to sleep. He accepts that global events are outside his command. By surrendering the need to control the world, he gains absolute control over himself. Part 3. The philosophy of the phantom loss. Premeditatio malorum, negative visualization. How does a man keep his mind clear when he has millions on the line? He uses the mental exercise of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Every morning, before checking his portfolio or opening his laptop, the wealthy Stoic spends a few moments imagining the worst-case scenario. He mentally simulates going completely broke, a catastrophic market crash wiping out his investments, his business partner betraying him, becoming irrelevant tomorrow morning. This is not pessimism. It is a vaccination against panic. By confronting catastrophe in his mind first, he removes its power to shock him in reality. If the worst happens, he doesn't scream or spiral. He simply thinks, I have already met you in my mind. Now let us fix this. Voluntary poverty. To solidify this mental resilience, he occasionally practices voluntary discomfort. Seneca famously advised, set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, is this the condition that I feared? The truly wealthy man will deliberately take a cold shower, fast for 24 hours, sleep on the floor, or wear simple clothes while eating basic meals. He proves to his subconscious mind that if he lost everything tomorrow, he would still be perfectly fine. He breaks the chains of psychological dependency on luxury. Part 4. The execution of abundance. Compound interest as character. To the Stoic, building wealth is not about flash-in-the-pan luck, viral trends, or get-rich-quick schemes. It is a natural byproduct of temperance, self-control, and justice, contributing value to society. He views compound interest as a law of nature, mirroring the compounding of human character. Every dollar saved instead of wasted on ego-driven luxury is a vote of confidence in his future freedom. He values micro-actions, saving consistently, auditing leaks in his business, and maintaining extreme emotional stability during downturns. The ultimate metric, freedom. The world measures wealth by what a man can buy. The Stoic measures wealth by what a man can ignore. True wealth is the ability to walk away from a toxic, lucrative deal because it compromises your ethics. True wealth is having the leverage to say no to people you do not respect. True wealth is time autonomy, owning your mornings, your afternoons, and your thoughts. If a man has $100 million but is terrified of losing his status, slave to his notifications, and trapped by his overhead expenses, he is not wealthy. He is just a well-paid prisoner. Part 5. The ultimate rules of the mind. The master of the mind. We conclude this mental blueprint with the definitive realization that separates the wise man from the fool. It is perfectly captured by Seneca. Wealth is the slave of a wise man, the master of a fool. Inside the mind of this wealthy man, money is a servant. It cleans up clutter. It solves logistical problems. It buys back time. And it funds philanthropic endeavors. But it never sits on the throne of his identity. Most people think wealth is luck. Some think it's talent. Others believe rich people were simply born ahead. But that is not the truth. The truth is far more uncomfortable. A wealthy man does not think like the average person. He sees the world differently. He reacts differently. He suffers differently. He sacrifices differently. While most people chase comfort, he chases leverage. While most people buy distractions, he buys time. While most people panic during pressure, he becomes calmer. Because wealth is not created in the wallet first. It is created in the mind. A poor mindset looks for entertainment. A wealthy mindset looks for opportunity. A poor mindset asks, how much does it cost? A wealthy mindset asks, how much can it return? And the dangerous part is this. Most people never notice the invisible habits destroying their future. They repeat the same emotional patterns every single day, then wonder why their lives never change. Tonight, you are going inside the mind of a wealthy man. Not the fake luxury shown online, not rented cars, not motivational quotes, but the real psychology, the silent discipline, the emotional control, the thinking patterns that quietly separate rich men from everyone else. Watch carefully. Because once you understand how wealthy men think, you will never see money the same way again. Part 6. A wealthy man thinks long-term. The average person lives for Friday. The wealthy man lives for the next decade. That is the first difference. Most people sacrifice the future to feel good today. They buy things to impress people they secretly dislike. They waste hours scrolling through meaningless entertainment. They choose temporary comfort over permanent progress. But a wealthy man understands one brutal truth. Every action compounds, every habit compounds, every decision compounds, every distraction compounds. He knows that success is rarely explosive in the beginning. It grows silently, like a tree underground before it breaks through the surface. This is why wealthy men are patient. Patience is not weakness. Patience is financial intelligence, because real wealth is built slowly. The wealthy man understands delayed gratification. He can resist temptation because he is emotionally attached to the future more than the present moment. While others spend money trying to look rich, he invests money trying to become free. And freedom is the real goal. Not attention, not applause, freedom. Freedom to wake up without fear. Freedom to choose how to spend time. Freedom to walk away from toxic people. Freedom to think clearly. That level of freedom requires sacrifice, and wealthy men accept sacrifice earlier than everyone else. Part 7. He controls his emotions. Most people are controlled by emotion. They buy emotionally. They quit emotionally. They react emotionally. A wealthy man understands something dangerous. Emotional people lose money. Fear destroys opportunities. Greed destroys discipline. Ego destroys intelligence. That is why calmness becomes a financial weapon. When markets crash, emotional people panic. The wealthy man observes. When business becomes difficult, emotional people complain. The wealthy man adapts. When criticism arrives, emotional people defend themselves endlessly. The wealthy man stays focused because he knows emotions are temporary, but decisions have permanent consequences. This is why many wealthy men appear cold. Not because they lack feelings, But because they learned emotional control, they learned that reacting to everything drains energy, and energy is currency. The average person wastes energy arguing online, proving points, chasing validation, gossiping, and comparing lives. Meanwhile, the wealthy man protects his focus like a soldier protects territory, because focus creates money. Every billionaire on earth understands deep focus. Distraction is expensive, very expensive. Part 8. He values time more than money. Poor minds chase money. Wealthy minds chase time. Because wealthy men understand something most people never learn. Money can return, time cannot. You can lose $1 million and rebuild it, but you cannot recover wasted years. That is why wealthy men become obsessed with efficiency. They delegate, they automate, they prioritize, not because they are lazy, but because they understand leverage. The average person trades hours for money forever. The wealthy man builds systems. He asks, "How can this work without my constant presence?" That single question changes everything. Instead of working harder forever, he learns how to make effort scalable. This is why wealthy men read constantly. Knowledge saves time. Experience saves time. Mentorship saves time. Mistakes repeated for years destroy time. And the wealthy man respects time too much to stay ignorant. Part 9. He doesn't seek validation. One of the most dangerous addictions in modern society is validation. The need to be seen, the need to be praised, the need to appear successful. A wealthy man slowly detaches from this addiction. He understands that attention is not income. Many people look rich but are financially trapped. Luxury clothes, luxury cars, luxury lifestyles. But behind the scenes, debt, stress, pressure, and insecurity. The wealthy man avoids unnecessary flexing because he understands the psychology of silence. Silence protects power. The less people know about your plans, the less they interfere with your focus. That is why many wealthy men move quietly. While others announce goals, they execute. While others chase followers, they build assets. Because wealthy men understand that real power is often invisible. A tree does not scream while growing. Part 10. He understands risk. Most people fear risk, but wealthy men fear stagnation more. They understand that safety can become a prison. Now, this does not mean reckless gambling. A wealthy man studies risk carefully. He calculates, he prepares, he learns. But he also understands that avoiding all risk guarantees mediocrity. Every business started with uncertainty. Every investment involved fear. Every breakthrough required courage. Meanwhile, average minds wait forever for perfect conditions. And perfect conditions never come. Wealthy men act before they feel fully ready, because confidence is built through movement, not waiting. And this is why many people remain stuck for years. They overthink, they hesitate, they delay. Meanwhile, another person with less talent but more courage moves ahead. Execution beats perfection. Every single time. Part 11. He treats failure differently. The average person sees failure as identity. A wealthy man sees failure as information. That difference changes everything. When average people fail, they feel embarrassed. They stop trying. They protect their ego. But wealthy men analyze failure calmly. What went wrong? What can improve? What lesson did this cost teach me? Because wealthy men understand that mistakes are tuition fees. Success leaves clues, but failure leaves lessons. And sometimes failure teaches faster than success. Most successful entrepreneurs failed repeatedly before winning, but they had emotional endurance. That is rare. Most people quit emotionally after temporary discomfort. The wealthy man continues, not because he enjoys pain, but because he understands growth requires pressure. Diamonds are created under pressure, so are powerful men. Part 12. He chooses his environment carefully. Environment shapes destiny. A wealthy man knows this. That is why he becomes selective with people. Not arrogant, selective. Because energy spreads, mindsets spread, habits spread, standards spread. If everyone around you normalizes laziness, excuses, gossip, and mediocrity, eventually you absorb it. But wealthy men place themselves near ambitious people people who challenge thinking, people who inspire discipline, people who move with purpose. Because environment influences identity, this is why wealthy men often spend heavily on access. Access to rooms, access to mentors, access to information, access to opportunities. One conversation can change an entire future, and wealthy men know that proximity matters. Part 13. He understands the power of silence. The wealthy man does not feel the need to explain himself constantly. Silence becomes strategy. He learns that talking too much weakens focus. The average person announces every move, every plan, every dream. But dreams exposed too early often lose momentum, because talking creates the illusion of achievement. Wealthy men prefer results, quiet discipline, quiet consistency, quiet execution. And there is another reason wealthy men value silence. Silence reveals people. When you stop talking constantly, you start observing. You notice insecurity, manipulation, fake loyalty, hidden intentions. Silence sharpens awareness. That is why calm people often appear powerful, because they are not emotionally leaking energy everywhere. Petty 14. He falls in love with discipline. Motivation is unreliable. A wealthy man understands this deeply. Feelings change daily. Discipline stays. This is why wealthy men build routines. Wake-up routines, work routines, fitness routines, investment routines. Because systems outperform emotions, the average person waits to feel motivated. The wealthy man works regardless. That is why discipline creates freedom. Ironically, the more disciplined a man becomes, the freer his future becomes. Discipline builds skills. Skills build value. Value builds income. Income builds freedom. But the average mind avoids discipline because discipline feels painful in the beginning. Yet wealthy men understand a deeper truth. Temporary pain prevents permanent regret. Part 15. He thinks in terms of value. Poor minds ask, how can I make money? Wealthy minds ask, how can I create value? That mindset changes everything. Money follows usefulness. The more problems you solve, the more valuable you become. A wealthy man constantly studies problems. What frustrates people? What wastes time? What creates stress? What improves life? Because hidden inside problems are opportunities. And this is why wealthy men become obsessed with learning. Learning increases value, and value increases income. The world pays people according to usefulness, not according to excuses. Part 16. He protects his mind. The wealthy man understands something modern society ignores. Mental clarity affects financial clarity. A distracted mind makes poor decisions. That is why wealthy men protect their mental environment. They avoid constant negativity, constant drama, constant noise, because chaos weakens thinking. And weak thinking creates expensive mistakes. Many people consume garbage information daily, then wonder why their lives feel confused. Your mind becomes whatever you repeatedly feed it. Wealthy men feed their minds carefully. Books, strategy, history, wisdom, analysis. Because the mind is either an asset or a liability. Part 17. He accepts loneliness. This part is difficult. The journey toward wealth often becomes lonely, because growth changes priorities. While others party endlessly, the wealthy man studies. While others waste weekends, he builds. While others seek comfort, he embraces discomfort, and eventually people stop understanding him. Some call him obsessed, others call him distant, but wealthy men accept temporary loneliness because they are building a future most people cannot yet see. This is the hidden cost of ambition. Not everyone will understand your discipline. Not everyone will support your vision. And that is why emotional independence matters. A wealthy man cannot depend entirely on external approval, because approval is unstable. Purpose is stronger. Final part. The true secret of a wealthy man. The true secret is not intelligence, not luck, not talent, not motivation. The true secret is identity. A wealthy man thinks differently before he earns differently. He becomes disciplined before success arrives. He becomes calm before pressure arrives. He becomes focused before opportunities arrive. Because external wealth is usually the reflection of internal structure. And this is why many people stay trapped. They want millionaire results with average habits. But wealth respects structure. Wealth respects patience. Wealth respects discipline. Wealth respects emotional control. The wealthy man understands this. He understands that every day is a vote for the future. Every distraction is a cost. Every habit is an investment. Every decision shapes destiny. And slowly, silently, while the world chases comfort, he builds power, not overnight, but consistently. Outro. One day, people will look at a wealthy man and call him lucky. They will never see the years of silence, the discipline, the sacrifices, the lonely nights, the emotional control, the pressure he carried without complaining. Because real wealth is invisible before it becomes visible. And maybe the biggest difference between wealthy men and everyone else is this. Average people want comfort now. Wealthy men are willing to suffer strategically for freedom later. So ask yourself honestly, are your daily habits creating survival or creating wealth? Because the mind you build today will eventually become the life you live tomorrow. And once you master your mind, money stops controlling you. You begin controlling it.